Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Intermountain West Shorebird Survey training for participants in Utah. On behalf of our entire partnership, we are so happy to have you on our team. We're going to get started by introducing you to your guides for this evening, who are going to tell you about how to conduct the survey. If you haven't met me yet, my name is M. Clark. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the avian ecologist at Sageland Collaborative. I am the project manager for the Intermountain West Shorebird Survey in Utah, and I'm your main point of contact. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me at any time. This is my second year leading the Shorebird Survey, and I'm so happy to be back doing it again. I've been working with shorebirds for almost 20 years, and they never cease to amaze me. I'm really looking forward to what this season will bring. I'll pass it over to Sierra.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sierra Hastings. I am the Communications and Development Specialist at Sageland Collaborative, and I'm a project coordinator on this. I absolutely love shorebirds, but I'm pretty new to it. I just got started when I started working here, but now I can identify a barred sandpiper, which you will too one day if you're a new birder. And I'll pass it to Max.
Thanks, Sierra. I'm Max Malmquist, and I'm the engagement manager for National Audubon Society Saline Lakes program. And I'm also, along with Em, I'm one of the lead coordinators for this project. I kind of focus on a number of other states in the West where we're coordinating similar surveys. And I've been with Audubon for about 6.5 years now. I've completely fallen in love with shorebirds. They're just amazing group of birds, and really excited that spring migration has already started. This past weekend, we did a training with Sageland up at Farmington Bay, and we had a really nice group of 15 curlews, which was really fun to see that the birds are already starting to move. And yeah, I'll turn it over to John.
I'm John Neal. I'm an avian biologist with the Great Salt Lake Ecosystem Program, which is part of the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources. And I'm coordinating with Em and Max on surveying the state waterfowl management areas that surround Great Salt Lake and Utah Lake.
Thank you so much, everyone. We're really happy for you all to join us on this training tonight. So how this is going to go is this training is going to cover how to conduct the survey, and then we will have an optional Q&A session at the end. We have additional resources on how to identify shorebirds on our webpage. We are recording this webinar, and it will be posted to the website as well as shared out with you on our newsletters and through other means if you need an additional copy. On this webinar, you've been muted and your videos are turned off, but you're welcome to use the Q&A and chat features at the bottom of the screen to communicate any questions that come up during the training, and Sierra will be moderating the chat feature. We will also have a few polls, so if you're able to join in and answer some of our questions, that would be great, just so we can see how we're doing with our training. So let's hop right into it, and Max is going to give us a little bit of an introduction about why we need to conduct these surveys.
Thanks, Em. Yeah, just to start us off here, shorebirds are really amazing endurance athletes. They make some of the longest annual migrations of any animals on the planet. And here we've got an example, the whimbrel. This is one of our uncommon but annual species that we see here in Utah during our shorebird surveys. And depending on their breeding location, these birds travel between 10,000 to 14,000 miles annually from their Arctic breeding grounds to their non-breeding grounds in South America, Africa, and Asia. And the purple lines that you see here in this graphic show the routes of individual whimbrels marked with satellite transmitters. Being able to complete these epic migration journeys takes a ton of energy, and birds need safe places to rest and refuel, like the ecosystem of Great Salt Lake, in order to survive. And looking at this map, you can see that shorebird conservation must be international and intercontinental, and efforts must span not only seasons but continents in order to be successful. This graphic or the two graphics on this slide are from the recent 2025 State of the Birds report that just came out in March. And that report is a collaborative effort to periodically assess the health of US bird populations. And many bird groups are declining, including North American shorebird species, you can see on this graph on the left, which have lost, on average, about 33% of their populations since 1980 and are continuing to trend downward. Threats include loss of habitat, drought, lack of food resources, human disturbance and development, and other factors as well. And shorebirds have the most tipping point species, 19, of any group of birds in North America, which means that 19 species of shorebirds have lost more than 50% of their populations within the past 50 years. And so helping these species is critical. And focused research is needed to identify the causes of these declines, and conservation measures must be ramped up to protect critical shorebird habitats. And that's why we're here today and where our shorebird surveys come into play. The Intermountain West snowmelt-fed wetlands and saline lakes are crucial for migratory shorebirds along the Pacific Flyway, serving as vital stopover and refueling sites during their biannual migrations between their breeding grounds in the Arctic and non-breeding grounds along the Pacific coast and in Central and South America. And the current Intermountain West Shorebird Survey is replicating an effort that was last completed 30 years ago. And the wetland habitats across this landscape have changed considerably over that time. The image here on the left shows the sites identified as important to shorebirds from the original surveys. So those 38 sites, they held at least 1,000 shorebirds during a spring or fall migration survey. And then on the right, you can see all those dots are all the different sites that we are surveying in spring and fall migration in our current our current program, which goes from 2022 through 2026. And this massive effort is a collaborative partnership across 11 Western states. And our goal is to evaluate migratory shorebird distribution and abundance at Great Salt Lake and across the region to provide a foundation for management of habitats and food resources for shorebirds. Over 70 partner organizations and more than 300 people across the Intermountain West region are needed to conduct each spring and fall migration survey. And our Utah team alone is comprised of over 100 people, about a third of all of our participants, covering roughly 800,000 acres. And our surveys are done by plane, by ATV, by car, but most of them are on foot by our amazing partner biologists and community science volunteers like all of you. So that's a little background, and I will now turn it back over to Em.
Thanks so much, Max. Now we're going to get into learning about how to conduct the shorebird survey. You can access the resources in several ways. First, your team lead, who has been assigned to receive the materials for your survey team, has been mailed hard copies of all the necessary materials, but I'll also go over those in the next slide. Our website is another great place to find all of our resources. It has our general information and details about the survey, like key dates and any notices that come up. You can download digital versions of the survey plan in the data form and sign the participant waiver, access shorebird identification resources, and more. We will also be sending you regular updates via our newsletters with key information you need to complete the survey. Also, please feel free to call or email any of us if you have any questions. We are here for you. So I'm going to review now the survey materials that have been sent to your team lead. Each team has access to them, and so the shorebird survey plan is pretty much the paper version of the training. So at any point you forget something and you need to look back, please refer to your survey plan. The 3-page data form is where you will record your survey data. You have a paper map of your survey area, which you will also be used to write on to record what part of the area you were able to get to. You have a general access letter as well as a vehicle placard to demonstrate you have permission to be where you are. Everyone on this project needs to sign Sageland Collaborative's participant waiver. And if you have not done so yet, Sierra is going to put this link in the chat and you can do that right now. This link is also on the webpage and included in the newsletters. Some of you are surveying at waterfowl management areas, and these are also required to sign up as a volunteer through the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources. If that applied to your team, you'll be sent an email with a direct link to sign up through that volunteer form. These are both required for participation in the survey. And lastly, your team lead has been given a stamped envelope that you can send back the survey materials when you finish with your survey. We also have included our 2025 Shorebird sticker as a little gift to you all, so please share those with your team. So to participate, you agree to work safely because safety is our #1 concern. We want you to know that at any time, if you feel uncomfortable or unsafe with the survey, you can stop. You do not need to complete the survey if you are concerned for your safety. If you see something, say it and watch out for each other. In addition to your physical safety, we care deeply about your well-being. So we ask that everyone treat each other's unique perspectives and identities with respect. If you have any questions about our culture of inclusion, please reach out to us personally or anonymously through our webpage. We're going to get a little bit more into safety in the next few slides. So just so you know, we're covering these major topics, but these are all broken down into 3 pages of safety topics and how to mitigate them in your survey plan. You'll also see in your data sheet that reviewing the safety measures with your team is the first step in the survey. A few points to keep in mind are that the temperature can really vary a lot throughout the day, so please dress in layers. And remember to wear shoes that you don't mind getting wet or muddy, and maybe have a change of pair for afterwards. Also, bathrooms are not readily available, so please plan ahead. Also, it's great to have a communication plan in place with people who aren't doing the survey back at home so they know when to expect you back from the survey. Please look for more tips and resources directly in our survey plan. Now I'm going to pass it over to John to tell you a little bit more about avian influenza.
As you may know, avian influenza, AI, or bird flu has been confirmed in Utah and at sites around Great Salt Lake, Utah Lake, and Amalga Barrens Sanctuary. Many water birds, eared grebes most recently, have died due to illness and may be found during the survey. Do not approach or touch any sick or dead birds. Sick birds may be lethargic or otherwise behave in an unexpected way. We request that you let me know if you see any groups of 5 or more sick or dead birds. Please take a picture from a distance with the GPS location enabled and report the incident to me, John Neal. You can find my contact information in the Shorebird Survey plan. Be careful out there while driving on dirt roads. Jason, the former manager of Farmington Bay Waterfowl Management Area, had a bad day at work after getting really stuck. Many of the dirt roads we travel on are not actually roads. They are earthen dikes, which don't contain the typical road base or rocks. They are very squishy and slippery, especially if they have received a lot of recent precipitation. Please be extremely conservative on what dikes you decide to drive on. Gravel dikes are generally okay, but it is totally okay to not survey an area because you can't access it. We will talk about how to record this on the data sheet. If you get stuck, many sites are remote and it is hard to communicate a breakdown. For those of you that are surveying at the waterfowl management areas, I will talk to the managers prior to the survey to alert you of what areas to avoid.
Great, thank you so much, John. So yeah, if you're surveying at the waterfowl management areas, we'll provide further information of any possible areas that you need to avoid. But again, trust your instincts And that's going to bring us into a quick poll just to see how you guys are all feeling about safety. So is safety our priority? Yes or no? Safety goes out the window when we're counting shorebirds. So if you don't mind just taking a moment to pop on and answer a question, that would be great. How'd we do, Sierra?
Everyone crushed it. Y'all know what safety's about.
Thank you all so much. It's really important that we keep safety as our utmost priority. We want to make sure everyone stays safe and feels comfortable in what we're doing when we're out there. Now we're going to go ahead and start talking about the survey basics. So in the event of severe rain or really muddy roads, we will reschedule the survey to our backup date. We will send you an email newsletter update a few days in advance when we decide the final decision on whether we'll go forward with the survey or switch to the backup date. We will also post this notice on our website with our survey status, so you will always know the latest on what's going on. If you haven't been to your survey area before, please let us know if you want to review the route with me virtually via Zoom or scout the area beforehand. This requires additional permission, so please make sure to contact me first if you want to go out to your site ahead of time. If your survey area requires a key or has a gate code, these have been mailed directly to your team lead, but please let us know if you have any questions. And a big note on the observers, just because we've designated as one person the team lead, so they're kind of organizing things for the survey, doesn't mean we expect them to do all the work. There's lots of different jobs to do. So please take turns doing the observation of birds. There's also the data form to fill out, and someone can be the navigator, which are all really important jobs. We recommend starting the survey near sunrise, and so that you don't have a glare from the sun. The tips on how to travel around your survey area, excuse me, are in the survey plan, and your route probably already has a designated way in which to survey, so please make sure you follow that and only survey in one direction. Please remember, we've been granted special access and by permit to access these areas. Please treat the lands, the people, and the wildlife with respect. Also, birds might be nesting, so please be mindful and keep a safe distance if you see any type of nesting behavior. And as much fun as it would be for you, please make sure you don't bring your pets on the survey. So here's our equipment checklist, and it's pretty large because in addition to making sure you have your binoculars, we want to make sure that you have all these other materials to take with you into the field, which includes some of our safety measures, navigation tools, and more. So please take a look at this list. Again, it's in the survey plan if you want to refer to it. And make sure that you bring extra food and clothing just in case anything did come up and you end up spending more time out there than you expected to. All right, now we're going to take a look at the example of a survey area map. So this is what will have been mailed in hard copy to your team lead. So this shows your survey area in the center of the map, and it's delineated by this yellow line. In addition to that, there's a route designated. And so the black dotted lines are the route, which in this case is surveyed by a high clearance vehicle. I want to note that if you do have a driving route, it doesn't mean that you're supposed to just stay in your car the entire time. No, it means that you are mainly driving, but please stop at any point you see shorebirds or want to count birds. You can get out of the car and do so if it's safe to do that. We've also tried to mark on the survey map if there's specific lookout points, there might be a good place to look for shorebirds. So please make sure you're taking the time to get out of the car when we do this. Now let's take a closer look. So this area highlighted in yellow is the survey area. Please remember to only count birds that are inside this area because other teams are surveying in the areas surrounding your survey area. So taking another look at this, if you are driving into this route, this area highlighted in blue is not your survey area yet. So these birds that we've put in red would not get counted in your survey area. Once you make it into your survey area, you'd be going around and counting all of these birds that we've marked here in green as they are within your survey area. So that's the general sense of how to conduct the survey and which birds count for your plan. Now you might think, okay, that map wasn't super detailed. How am I going to navigate around my site? Well, we have an app for that that's going to make this much easier for you. So in addition to the paper map, we have, you can download these maps right from your smartphone. So the directions are in our survey plan, and right now I'm going to go through the easiest way to set this up on your phone. So step 1 is to go into the App Store on your smartphone and download the free ArcGIS field maps from Esri. You can find this app by using the QR code right here on the screen, and again, it's also in our survey plan. So go ahead and try it now if you want to practice along, but again, all of these steps are outlined in the survey plan. Once you have the app downloaded, please note that you do not need to sign in and you do not need to create an account. So it's super easy to access. Step 3, you're going to go to the search bar and you're going to type in the Utah Shorebird Survey. This is our project and it'll show up on the list. So select this. This is what's being highlighted in red on the screen. Once you have this open, you can see that it becomes a map that you can zoom in on and see all the different survey areas. Make sure when you're opening this that you enable location on your phone so that you can see yourself in the map when you're navigating and you can see exactly where you are around your survey area. Now, this works great if you have cell phone service, but what if you don't have great coverage and you can't open the map? So we have a backup plan for that, don't worry. Oops, jumped ahead one. Sorry, folks, it looks like that slide accidentally got cut out. But what you can do is that, oh, I'm sorry, it's right here. Sorry, these slides jumped around on me. So to be able to download an offline map, you are able to open up the app and then you're going to be able to click the offline area and create your own survey area of your map, or you can see we already have a list of all of these options, which would include your survey area. So for example, if your survey area is in the northern part of Great Salt Lake, you can just download the Great Salt Lake North map and your survey area would be contained in that. So we encourage you to download this app and play around with it as soon as possible. You can't break it, so give it a try. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me and we can help you navigate them. All right, now we're going to jump into our next poll and see what we're counting on our shorebird survey. So this year we're counting either shorebirds only, shorebirds and white-faced ibis, or we're counting all birds that we see on the survey. Please take a minute and enter your response. All right, a little bit of a mix, and this was kind of a trick question for new people joining the survey this year. So I'm going to get into this in the next slide, but in our surveys for Utah, we count shorebirds as well as white-faced ibis. It's okay to look at other birds and maybe make notes about them on your data form, but we are not including any other species in the data form. Okay, so let's quickly mention the white-faced ibis. So while this bird shares many habitats with and has similar foraging behavior as many shorebirds, it's actually a wading bird. So it does not belong to any of the families that shorebirds are in. And the marshes around the Great Salt Lake provide critical nesting habitat for this species. Although overall the populations are considered to be pretty stable, some recent declines have sparked concern. So starting last year in 2024, we decided to take advantage of this already large survey effort that's going out to the same habitats that the white-faced ibis are using and just add them to a survey count. And this is going to help our land managers get much needed information about white-faced ibis to help target conservation efforts. Excuse me. So yes, we will be counting shorebirds and white-faced ibis, but no other species on the shorebird survey. Okay, so we finally went through all that background information just to get out to your survey area. So you've arrived at your survey area and now it's time to start filling out your data form. On this slide, I am highlighting the top page of page 1. So on the left-hand side, you can see that there's 3 pages on the data form, and we're in this first section here of the highlighted section. So the first thing you're going to do is review the checklist with your team. If you have watched this, you have completed the training. Please also review the written survey because it has additional information you might not have seen or remembered from the training, as well as familiarize yourself with the data form and the map. And you should have already signed the participant waivers. Please take a few minutes before the start of the survey just to review any safety concerns or anything that might come up with your team. It's really important to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. Now, to write in the top portion, you want to make sure that you put in this survey area name, and please make sure that you write out the full name. Don't use any codes or any acronyms, please. You include the date, the start time, the names of all your people on your survey team, and again, please don't use initials. Please write people's full names. You can also check off on this last one, the primary survey method. So for most of us, we're going to be on foot or by vehicle. And so you would just check off which type of survey you're conducting. Now we jump ahead as it's finally time to count shorebirds. We do this on page 2 of the data form. So again, please make sure to write your survey area name at the top page so we can keep track in case the papers get separated. You're going to record your counts of shorebirds and white-faced ibis on the line associated with the bird's name. Please do your best to identify shorebirds to their species. However, we know that shorebirds are really hard and they're often really far away. So in the survey plan, there's a full list of potential species as well as group codes you can use if you can't ID something to a species. So there's additional space for this as well as some already started written in for you at the bottom here. So for example, it's okay to combine greater and lesser yellowlegs as well as short or long-billed dowitcher. It's important to try to get it to the group, but if that's as far as you can go, that's perfectly great data. We also only want to count birds that are using the survey area that we are in. So birds flying over are called flyovers, and these are not to be counted. In the event that you don't have any shorebirds in your survey, please don't fret because these 0 counts are extremely valuable. So please make sure that you have fully filled out the rest of your data form, even if your tallies are 0 at the end. A special note, you might be surveying in areas where there's some very cryptic species. So for example, our friend, the snowy plover, is an expert at blending into its surroundings. Likewise, their foraging strategy has them kind of running and then pausing to pick up invertebrates. And when they're holding still, they're nearly impossible to see. We also have other birds that might be hiding behind vegetation. So while it might be easy to notice the birds like the avocets and the stilts that really stand out, make sure you take the time to scan the entire habitat for any secretive species and any birds that might be roosting rather than walking around and foraging in plain sight. All right, get ready. We're going to do another poll in just a minute, and let's check in and make sure that everyone understands what flyovers are. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, birds that are flying overhead and don't land in your survey area are considered flyovers. So what about this flock of black-bellied plovers that is passing by overhead and doesn't land in our survey area? Let's check in and let's see what you think, either whether these are flyovers or not. So no, I can see them in my survey area, so I should count them. They're not flyovers. Or yes, they're just passing through. I can enjoy them, but not count them. I'll give you guys just a minute to weigh in. Great, so we did pretty good here. So even though you might see birds that are fly overhead and you could see them, if they're not using the area that you're surveying in, we don't count them in your survey area because they're likely to land in somebody else's. Let's do another one to check in. So in this example, these white-faced ibis are feeding in our survey area. As we drive by with our car, they flush and fly away. So are these flyovers? We'll do one more poll, give you guys a few minutes to weigh in on this. So either yes, they're flying, so they're flyovers, or no, these birds just flushed, so they're not flyovers. Awesome, it looks like we got 100% on this one, so you're getting the hang of it. Great, so now we're gonna get into some tips and tricks about how to actually count flocks of shorebirds. So this is hard, even for professional biologists, so don't feel bad if you're feeling a little bit stressed out or challenged by it, but we have some tips for you. So how many sandpipers are here? At first, you might want to try counting them, but then if they start to fly away really quickly, that can be difficult. So one of the best methods to use is called the blocking method, and it can help us count these flocks pretty quickly. So in this example, I am counting out a cluster of about 5 birds in each of these blocks. So, oops, I jumped ahead, but so we are counting the 3 clusters, which each equals about 15 sandpipers. And so if we did actually count all of these, we would see how we did. That's pretty good if these birds were flying away and we were able to get a quick count. Our estimate was 15 and the actual was 16, so only 1 off. Now we're going to move into a little bit harder example. So does this make anyone stressed out? We have a mixed flock of shorebirds and they all have their heads tucked in and it can be a little scary. But don't worry, we're going to give you some tips to navigate this. So the first thing you want to do is sort of look at the size and the shape, and we're seeing that we've got a lot of large shorebirds with maybe a few little ones scattered through. So we're going to start as we did the other one. We're going to block them off into clusters. So I established that I have a flock of mostly large shorebirds, and I'm going to start blocking these off into groups of 10 this time. So remember, you can always use different numbers for your blocks. Sometimes you might need to use blocks of 100, sometimes even 1,000. So it just depends on what you're looking at. So I've now blocked off these mostly large shorebirds, and I came up with 11 clusters of 10. So this brings me to an estimate of 110 mostly large shorebirds. So if those birds were to take off, we would at least have a count of 110 shorebirds, which is also super helpful. But thankfully, these birds are cooperating, so let's see if we can identify them. So these lighter brown large shorebirds are our willets in their non-breeding plumage. The orange speckled birds with the long red and black bill are our marbled godwits. And then I do a scan and I notice some sort of medium-sized shorebirds, which are highlighted in these red circles, which honestly, I can't figure out what they are. Maybe they're dowitchers or maybe they're stilt sandpiper. Since we can't tell, we're just going to call these ones these medium unknown shorebirds. Okay, so from here, we're not going to try to actually count those, but we're going to get a general proportion. So think about 75% or 3/4 are willets, which means the remaining quarter or 25% are split between the godwits and these medium-sized shorebirds. Then you have to do a little math to get the proportion. Hopefully someone on your team is going to remember how to do math, but if not, don't forget your cell phone has a calculator, which is super helpful. And this is what we're going to come up with. We have 6 medium-sized shorebirds because you can't have half a bird, so we rounded that one up. And then you have 22 godwits and 83 willets. So you would put those tallies on your data form. If you would like to practice this skill, because it is hard and it does take time to learn, there's a great website that provides example flocks you can count. And Sierra is going to put this in the chat, and it's also on our resources on the website, so you can practice counting flocks. All right, hopefully you're feeling a little bit more confident about that. And so we're going to take a look at our last page of the data form. So this is kind of more of your notes page, and you can use it to record general observations, logistical issues, tips, anything you want us to know about, but also space for extra tallies if you needed it, or if you wanted to keep track of other birds on your survey that you saw, you can do so, but just remember the only birds that we're actually recording are all the shorebird species and white-faced ibis. So please make sure those take priority over looking at any other birds or any other cool animals that you see out there. Okay, so you finished your survey and now it's time to estimate the visual percent of your survey area. So at first this might seem a little confusing, but we're going to walk through together here. So this is what we're trying to get at here is what area you could actually see in your survey area and count birds on. So if you couldn't reach all of the survey area, you wouldn't have 100% for this number. So on this first example I'm going to give you, the survey team was able to follow their route. They didn't have any problems and they had pretty good eyes on everywhere except the top corner of the survey area. So then at the end of the survey, they're going to take their pen or their pencil and they're literally just going to shade in the area that they covered. And you can see they've covered pretty much the entire survey area with the exception of this little spot up here in the top corner. So I would estimate this is about, 97% of the survey area was surveyed, which is really amazing. In another example, like we talked about earlier, the dike road didn't seem safe and the survey team decided not to go into the northern portion of the route, which is totally fine. We want to make sure that nobody gets stuck in the mud. So on their survey, this is another great example of what you would do. You would just fill in the area that you did cover. So this southern portion of the survey area and a little bit of a chunk that didn't get covered right here. So I'm going to estimate this was about 45% of their survey area. And this is the percent that you would put in the final page of the data form in that box. So now we're going to return to page 1 to finish entering that information and some other key things that we won't know until the end of the survey. So please record the wind, the cloud cover, and any precipitation as an average of what you experienced during the entire survey. Then we ask you to describe the dominant cover types of your survey area. All these cover type categories are listed in the survey plan, but on the next slide, I'll highlight the top 3 that are most common. But first, the last data field is the area surveyed that we just practiced. So you would enter your percentage based on your shaded survey map. Another thing that's really important, and sometimes people forget to do this, is to accurately enter their hours and the mileage for the survey, because this helps us get and contribute to grant funding. So to do this, we want to know the times that everyone on your team spent. So this includes this training. It includes any time you spent reading materials or practicing ID for the survey, as well as your travel time from your home to the survey area, and then the actual survey time spent for each person. Those are all volunteer hours. Then tally all the participants to get one larger number. Similarly, for the mileage, you're going to tally each person's round trip mileage to get to and from your survey meeting place. And then you're going to do one number for the total miles that you traveled when you were traveling together as a group. And then those would get tallied for your participant mileage. Before we review the next step, we're going to go over the survey types. So these are the most common cover types that you're going to see on surveys in Utah. So in wetlands where the water is flowing naturally through the site would be 1A for natural wetland. If you're in an area where you see lots of dike roads or culverts or other equipment, you're probably going to be in the 1B, the managed wetland. The other key area is if you're doing a survey around the Great Salt Lake is the saline lake cover type. So that would be cover type 2. So again, those are the top 3 most common ones, but there are more listed in the survey plan if you don't feel that your survey area fits. Okay, so finally, we are at the final step. So we are back to page 1 at the very bottom. So this is a checklist on the bottom page of your data form. So please do a final sweep and that you have filled out each category, each field of the data form, and that you sketch up that survey map by shading the visible area that you were able to see and count birds on. Then this is really important. At the end of your survey, please make sure to have someone take photos of all 3 pages of your data form and email them directly to me. And this is really critical because it first and foremost serves as our safety check-in that you have finished your survey and are heading home. So I know I don't have to worry about you. And it also serves as a backup for the data in case it gets lost in the mail. So please make sure you do that immediately following the survey. And if I don't hear from you, I will be calling each of one of you till I know that you're safe. And then their team lead, we ask that you please mail in your data form, the physical copy, as well as the sketched up map in that envelope that we provided you, and do that within 2 days of finishing the survey. So that is how to conduct the survey. And now I'm going to pass it over to Sierra to fill in on a few other things.
All right, thank you, Em. We love hearing your stories from the survey, and we would love to know about your experience, whether that's on social media with the hashtag ShorebirdsCount, by emailing me your photos or videos, or by sharing them in the Google form that we'll share out following the survey. These really help promote the importance of shorebirds and community, which is you, and we're so grateful for that. And you've probably noticed that this training is very focused on how to do the survey. However, we also have a number of really great resources on our webpage highlighting how to do shorebird identification. One of those is our new Shorebird ID flashcards that some of y'all already have. But if not, we are so grateful to Great Salt Lake Audubon. We were just awarded a grant that helps fund this resource that allows us to provide free printed copies of these flashcards in English and Spanish for our participants. So if you haven't gotten yours, please stop by our office and grab them. They're really cool. So yeah, back to you, Em.
Thanks for sharing that, Sierra. So that completes our training. Thank you so much for volunteering your time. It's amazing that we're all working together to conserve birds. We can't do this without you.
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone. Have fun out there.
Thank you all.